Really quickly, I want to go over an issue that I know a lot of people are going to run into before we actually get into the gameplay and things of that nature. If you run into the green flickering problem with a 5090, this is not an ASUS problem. This is not an MSI problem, Gigabyte problem, or whatever manufacturer version of the 5090 you get. It is not their fault that this has happened. This is an NVIDIA issue, and it happens with random 5090s and random 5080s that you end up getting. I haven't run into the issue with the 5070 yet. I've built probably like, I want to say like 15 5090 computers, and it's only happened to me like maybe 3 or 4 times. However, the first time it happened to me, it freaked me out. Your GPU is not broken. Your GPU doesn't have an issue. It is a driver that I'm guessing it's conflicting with Windows or something. The only way that I have found to get around that problem is by having a CPU with integrated graphics, because what happens when you get that green flickering issue with your GPU is you're not able to like click anything on the actual screen. It's only the taskbar that's working. Your computer's not frozen, it didn't crash or anything like that. And when you first boot up the computer, it goes through the entire process with the BIOS and everything. It installs Windows and you're perfectly fine. It's only when you actually boot into Windows that you run into the problem. At least from my experience, that's the only time that ends up happening. However, awesome graphics card. I just felt the need to explain this to people that do run into that issue, because I know it would kind of be annoying to get something like this and then feel as though you need to return it or send it back, which unfortunately, if you do not have a CPU with integrated graphics, you probably are going to have to do that, because at least for me, dude, that's a 4K 240 hertz monitor back there. And it's not like it doesn't support what the graphics card actually offers, because my TV, I could plug it into my TV. That's 4K 60 hertz. I run into the same problem. These monitors right here are 4K 144 hertz. I still run into the same problem. So if you do run into that problem, you kind of need integrated graphics to work around that green screen flickering issue. But other than that, man, this is such an insane graphics card. Obviously, your CPU, your memory, your motherboard, your RAM, and everything inside of your computer is going to play a role in what kind of performance you get on your computer. But I mean, if you're getting a 5090, I'm guessing that you at least have a Ryzen 7 or an Intel Ultra 7 or an Intel Core 7 or whatever future CPU names they come out with. I'm guessing you have at least that. But I mean, unless, I'm just saying this, dude, like this kind of requires a very good CPU in order for it to get you that 4K 240 hertz, because the CPU kind is where that frame rate actually comes into play. And we're at a point right now where there's actually some people that have even made content on this. Like this, the 9800X3D, the fastest gaming CPU on the market right now, can't even keep up with the 5090 at this point. So this is kind of like future proofing you probably for the next like 20 years, man, because if everything, and that 9800X3, that's a pretty new CPU. So if that can't even keep up with the 5090, you know what I mean? We're at a point where, you know, you're kind of like setting yourself up for the next generation, which is something that we haven't seen before. And that is really cool. However, man, the issues with the 50 series that NVIDIA pumped out, that's pretty disappointing, especially for something of this nature. So yeah, highly recommend this GPU, man. Obviously, it is an incredible graphics card. There's nothing, this literally is the best graphics card on the market, like quite literally the best version. Yes, they have the ASUS Dubai version that's gold, but it's literally the exact same thing as far as performance goes. It's just wrapped in gold for reasons that I don't even know why it exists, but it exists. So yeah. Yeah, man, it's the OC version of the 5090. So just keep in mind, if you do, I personally would recommend this, man, because I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I just feel like if you're building a computer, you might as well get a CPU with integrated graphics just to avoid that headache of having to return a graphics card that you may have whatever. And I don't know whether to blame NVIDIA or whether to blame Windows, because you can't, like, if I threw the 5090 in my computer, this 5090 that had the white artifact or the green artifacting, and updated the 5090 and then put it back in that computer, it, like, the issue still stays there. It's not, so I don't know whether to blame NVIDIA or Windows. It's one of them, you know what I mean? But it does happen randomly with just the 5080 and 5090 in general. With that said, I don't build many lower or mid-tier range computers. Most of the computers that I build have a 5080 or a 5090, 4080 or 4090 in them. I don't really like building the lower end stuff anymore. It's just not, as somebody that has been doing this for a very long time, it's just not something that I really enjoy doing anymore. And also from a business perspective, it doesn't really benefit me to do that when I'm like one person doing all of this. You know, I don't have people building other computers for me, so my time is kind of limited. And if I'm building lower end stuff, that means I can't build the higher end stuff.